Hi, welcome back. Natural lighting is going down fast and I have a tension headache, but also the fact that the sun is going down at like not even 4 p.m. Is the sign that the year is ending. I know, crazy. I personally feel like November lasted 1,000 years and December went by like this quick. So I thought we could do a little bit more of like a reflection on my reading year with the end of the year book tag. But this time I'm not going to do like the conventional book tag that I have done every year since the start of the channel. I'm going to do Destiny Sidwell version of the book tag. She added a little bit more questions and she changed them a little bit. So I think we could do that. We'll start out with the bang, most disappointing book of the year. I've done a whole video with my most disappointing and worst books. I'm going to link it up here, but I think the most disappointing was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Pinter. Just because it was so hyped up by people who I trusted. I also saw Ailey Fan, who recently became like a little bit of a booktuber, really go hard on this book because she really loved it. It was one of her favorite books and I wanted a silly little YA rom-com style book and all I got was a stockpile of cliches. This book you've already read in 1,000 other books. All the things that are in this book and how they are written, they're not original at all. They're like copy and pasted from other books, other movies, and I just felt bored. Question 2, however, is Underdog of the Year. Underdog of the Year absolutely goes to Little Mushroom by Xi. This is a Chinese web novel. It's a duology. I ate that up in like, I think a week. This is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic book in which for some reason in the future the electromagnetic field that protects the earth from radiation somehow flickers and goes down, and so the earth is invested by radiation. A lot of people die, a lot of people mutate, especially like plants and animals, and they become like these bloodthirsty monsters. So the remnants of humanity have like managed to get the field back up, like an artificial field, and they live in these very distant and sparse cities. And our protagonist is a little mushroom who mutated and took the body of a human. And it's a queer story. It's such a high tension post-apocalyptic book. It was so cool and a lot of people really like it, but only the people who know what Chinese web novels are. So I think such an underdog book. The third question is a book that was overhyped. I have a whole blog in which I try to read this book. It's From Blood and Ash by JLA, Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't know what happened. This was the most harrowing, horrible reading experience I've ever had with a book. It was just awful world building, awful characters. They're all so fucking stupid, you have no idea. They all make the worst decision. There was also like plot holes everywhere, and the writing style and the world building are so inconsistent that it's awful to try to come up with a real plot to describe to other people. I really hated this book. This was horrible, barely even a book. And I know JLA can write like trashy, fun, romance-filled fantasies. I don't know what happened here, and I don't know why people are going nuts over these books, because they're definitely her worst books. Yeah. Question 4, favorite book couple. I don't really think a lot about book couples, like at all. It was the same with the your favorite book boyfriend question in the original tag. I never had those, but this year I read Love Theoretically by Ailey Hazelwood, and I think the chemistry that these two characters had, unmatched. Incredible, never the same, fantastic, amazing. I think Ailey Hazelwood really knows how to write characters who are truly obsessed with each other and they're put in situations which are believable and silly at the same time. It's truly like the masterwork of AO3 fanfiction, which I love. I don't really remember their names. I think he was called like Jack Smith, something stupid, and I don't remember what was she called, but they had such strong chemistry that I still remember it. Question 5. Fave main characters or character out of a book that you read this year? Definitely from Lightbringer, Darrow. The Red Rising series is one of my favorite series of all time for a reason. I think they're fantastic sci-fi books. I think they're fantastic books in general. I think Darrow is one of the most compelling characters of all time, and you can see him age into adulthood, into a very ragged but still hopeful man. Darrow in Lightbringer, oh my god, I fell in love again. And then Mustang, that woman, my wife, literally my wife. I would, in a heartbeat, like henny marriage. A book that surprised me, definitely I'm Not Myself These Days by Josh Kilmer-Purcell. This is a memoir. I did not know this was a memoir. This talks about a drag queen who is actually Josh Kilmer-Purcell's drag name, who tells you their story living as a drag queen in New York City in 2000 like in the first 2000s, late 90s, and falling in love with somebody who works in the entertainment industry. He's an escort, but also he deals cocaine. Hard-hitting, wonderful, cracked me up, so funny, but also I think it uses a lot of words that could be problematic, say it now, but at the time it truly reflected the queer culture of New York. And it's such, like, I think an historical book, like an historical piece and a mirror in what queer culture was like. And I was so fascinated. It was so good, and nobody ever talks about it in like queer culture, queer history. I think it was fascinating. New favorite author that I discovered in 2023. So I spent over a month specifically and only reading The Husky and His White Cat Shizun, written by, I think the name translated to Meatball, another Chinese web novel. This was translated into English, so you can find it in physical form. I have never spent a month of my life specifically trying to search up fun translation of this book, because it is not finished like the official translation, and I found the raunchiest machine translated translation, and I still read it. Her writing captivated me. It was incredibly painful, wonderful, the slowest of burns. Also a very like 18+ book, definitely in the violence, the gore, and the sexual aspects. Still, oh my god. Tissue break. December fucking sucks. Question 8. Happiest book of the year. Now, I wanted to go with Happy Place. I do have a copy of Happy Place somewhere around there. But Happy Place is not a happy book at all. I cried like the last 100 pages of that book. Truly captured what it's like to grow up with a certain kind of group of friends and grow up with them. I think though, the happiest book, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's definitely not theoretically. I giggled. I was kicking my feet. I just had a smile perpetually plastered on my face. Also, I loved how love theoretically also as like wonderful ace representation, and all of Hailey Hazelwood's characters I think do. They have Dami characters, ace characters, arrow characters. I love that. They're so underrepresented. I finally have a physical copy for the most frustrating book of the year. Again, I talked about it in the worst book of the year video, but When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Whoever convinced me this was going to be a fun read, shame on you, shame on your cows, shame on your family. I am going to hunt you down. Cause I think this book encapsulates whatever is wrong with the publishing industry right now. Cause like, this is a very short book, 300 pages of the most nonsensical things ever. Bad writing, for once, because subtlety is dead. Every character tells you, the reader, exactly what they're thinking, and then they tell the other characters, and then they tell other characters, and then they tell you in the prose, and then they tell you in the thinking bubble parts. And I'm like, oh my god, cut that shit out. Please, for the love of God. 2, chemistry was non-existent. Like, I mean, they found each other attractive at page 2, they found each other like romantically attractive at page 10. Who are we kidding right now? 3, the characters don't move nor act naturally. So Sarah Adams sets up these characters, and characters usually, if you set them up one way, they should behave that one way. No, Sarah Adams puppets her characters to do whatever is most convenient to the plot, forgetting how these characters truly actually are. That is so frustrating to me. I think this is like the epitome of bad writing. I really hated, despised this book, and I think a lot of people really like this. That is what's most frustrating to me, I think. Best adaptation of the year. I only watched one, because I want to watch like The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, I think it's called. I haven't read the book though, so maybe next year. I, however, read the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy from like the ending of last year to the beginning of this year, and I hated that book trilogy. I think it's badly written, like very juvenile writing, and I think the messages are dated and borderline offensive. The series, however, I think it's really good. I think it's juicy, I think it's age appropriate, I think it's fun. The characters are a lot better, the music is wonderful, the set design, the costume, I think it's so cute. I really liked it. The longest book I've read this year. So technically speaking, the longest thing I've read this year is Homestuck. In the year of our Lord 2023, read Homestuck for the first time, and it's almost like 3,000 pages if you only count like the written parts, and there's also like images and videos and video game parts, so it's like the longest thing I've ever read. So there's that. But also, if you want to count like only like true physical books or like ebooks and stuff, I think the longest thing I read is The Husky and His White Cutchisson. I read the story in its entirety, and it's 2,000 pages long, something like that. Long, but you know, worth it. Definitely worth it. Now, for the shortest book that I've read this year, I think I recently read a novella that is the shortest thing. I think it's like 100 pages long, and it's A Flame in the Night by Morgan Dante. I was kind of disappointed by this. I think the writing needed a lot more editing, because I don't think there was an editor anywhere else. I think it's very young writing. I think it has the potential to grow into something very beautiful. This was a polyamory relationship between 2 humans and 1 vampire in the early 19th century, like the 1910s. Vibes, wonderful. Writing, not really. Favorite cover. Now, I want to show you 2 books. Because they're wonderful, I think. One of my favorite covers, which you might disagree, it's the cover for She Drives Me Crazy. It's just so good with the bi-colors of the flag, and it's just, I love illustrated covers that are like this for young adult books, and I think these 2 are so pretty. And the bi-colors, I think it's just so beautiful. And another illustrated cover that I really like, with also the bi-colors, for one of my favorite books of this year. Spoilers, but it's A Darkness Outside Us. I mean, come on, look how wonderful. I think it's one of the most beautiful covers ever. I'm going to talk about this book in a little while. A book you haven't stopped thinking about. This definitely goes to Young Mungo by Douglas Stuart. I have a blog in which I read this book. I have never cried so hard while reading that snot was coming down my face and I didn't notice. Because like that was the experience of finishing that book. I had like blurry visions, could not see the words. I had snot dripping down my face, tears dripping down my face. I was so puffy. It was an experience. It was definitely on par with A Little Life. A Little Life, I cried, but like just tears. Young Mungo, I think destroyed me. I think since it was so realistic and like historically accurate, I think it hit me 10 times harder. It was so much. The trigger warnings, read those. Cringiest book of the year. You already know, I have a vlog for this. It's The Never King by Nicholas Crow. If you're like having sex with somebody who wants you to keep mentioning his name, and his name is Peter Pan, and he wants to be called Peter Pan and not just Peter in bed. Maybe your book is a little bit cringy. I don't know. You tell me. An unpopular book that I loved. Now, I have two. One of them is unpopular because not many people have read it. August Kipko and The Mecha Sperm Space by Alex White. So good. Cool, queer, about mechas and music. It's sci-fi, and it's like Neon Genesis Evangelion if it had like happier moments and without the depression. Then I have another book which people actually didn't really like, and it's Ici Seulement Ici by Christelle Dabo. It's a French book from the author of the Mirror Jumper series. I think it was wonderful. It's a story about bullying in middle school, but there's also like supernatural aspects of the school. Like there's weird goo who makes weird things happen in a school, and I thought it was wonderful and weird, but a lot of people really did not like that. Highest and lowest rated books that I read, and if I agree with them. So the lowest rated book was YN by Esther Yi. It has a 3.05 on Goodreads, and I think I agree. I give it 3 stars. I think it's like a literary experiment that was not done correctly. It's a story about obsession with K-pop idols, but I think the main characters is so obsessive, and it's okay, yeah, you know, crazy stans, Saesang fans, but also like everybody else around her is also just as obsessive and weird, and I'm like, why though? Why? It makes no sense. Also the story really doesn't go anywhere, so yeah, 3 stars. Highest rated is Have an Official Blessing, Volume 4. It has a 4.78 on Goodreads. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Of course I agree. This, such a delight. This volume specifically, I think it's one of the happier ones. It's also the ones which has like, I think the first true kiss. Yeah, I totally agree. Favorite book quotes of the year. So this one I have to, it's from Have an Official Blessing. It says, "The one standing in infinite glory is you. The one fallen from grace is also you. What matters is you, and not the state of you." If I was Hua Chang, I would have like fallen through the crust of the earth. A book with the most unique concept, I think, and again, I don't want to repeat myself, but Little Mushroom, like a mushroom that becomes human and infiltrate human society. I think I've never read this before. It was so good. A book I would reread. Definitely The Husky and His White Cat Shizen. As the official translation comes out, I think I'll read like the English official translation, because I read the fun translation, like the awful fun translations, like machine translated through Google Translate. It was bad. I think I reread that, because the official ones, I read volume 1 and 2 in the official translation, were very good. They were very good. What are my reading goals for next year? I think I'll just set up my usual like 100 books, even though this year, I don't know what happened. I read 140 books and I still have like 2 weeks left. 100 is what I usually read, and it's a sustainable goal for me. I read a lot of comics also, so it's not like only big books. Especially this year, I think I had a good pace with reading. I read when I wanted to and what I wanted to, and like videos did not dictate what I wanted to read. I think they never did. I am very immune when it comes to like peer pressure from the internet, even though I bought When in Rome. That was a mistake. I need to completely, I think, de-influence myself from every outside source in that regard, because like my book reading tastes are very particular, and I know myself, I think, a little bit better than the general public. What am I going to prioritize in 2024, like reading wise? I think there are a lot of books coming out that I'm really looking forward to, like all the Ailey Hazelwood books. I think there's another Emily Henry book coming out next year. There's also like the 3rd in the Atlas 6 Atlas Complex trilogy coming out like really soon, and I really love the Atlas 6. But also I think what I'm going to do and what I want to do is reread the entirety of the Heaven Official Blessing series. I'm on volume 5 of my reread and I want to read up to volume 8. I have to acquire them, and for that I need money, which I don't have. So I also really want to take down my physical TBR, which is not that high. I read a lot of ebooks, and I have a lot of ebooks like waiting for me on my Kindle, like, please read me. But my physical TBR is not that high, but I still want to prioritize that because as you can see, space is limited. Not every book will fit in my bookshelves, especially because my bookshelves are crumbling. They are 30, 40 plus years. Yeah. I think those are going to be my main priority next year. I also want to like branch out into more weird literature because I think that's what I like. I think we're finished. The questions are finished. I still have some more videos that I want to put out before the end of the year, so be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you in the next one. I also have some socials if you want to connect with me. They are down below. Please excuse the awful lighting, but like, it's winter in Pianura Padana! I feel like I'm going insane. I think they are the cold medicine meds. I'll see you when I see you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye! Mwah!